Okay guys, I'm back and I'm gonna talk about Hu Tao. She's dropped in the Asia server for around 22 hours now, and I've been playing her for like 7, 8 hours, so I kind of understand what she needs and what she does, so I'm gonna make a guide on this character. But like the thing is that things might change after I experiment a little more, but I feel like I've got it down more or less, so yeah, I'm gonna talk about her right now. As for her weapons, right, obviously the best weapon would be Staff of Homa, because it's basically, this weapon is basically made for her, it's like perfect for her. But I know a lot of you guys wouldn't be getting the Staff of Homa because it's from the weapon banner. So I'll be talking about the other alternatives in when it comes to weapons, 4 stars and 5 stars, okay? So moving along to Honey Impact, let's look at the 4 stars first. Black Cleave Polam, really good. Really good free to play alternative. I say free to play because you can get it from the shop in game right now. It is currently live. It rotates in like every 2 months, so you can get it right now. But the next month, right? If you wait till next month, then it'll change to like a different set of weapons, which is like the energy recharge weapons, which aren't really that good because you can just buy these. I would recommend buying only one copy because I don't think the refinements are worth it, but it is fine to buy one copy in my opinion. Next up, Crescent Pike, physical damage, not for her, cause she basically does all pyro damage. Deathmatch, I think is slightly better than the Black Cleave pole, but they are about the same. One gives crit rate, one gives crit damage though. So if you need more crit rate, then you go for Deathmatch. But this is obviously not free to play because it comes from the battle pass. But if you're free to play, then I would recommend going for the Black Cleave pole. Polam, I don't know why it just cut off, but yeah. And then next up, Dragon's Bane. I haven't really like had a chance to test this out yet because I don't have the resources to build it out right now. But from like the information itself, right, like it doesn't look bad. It does look viable if you have like, especially if you have a few refinements, and I think it's pretty viable because of the team, because of teams you're gonna be running with her, like the ideal teams in my opinion, which I will talk about later because I'm talking about the weapons right now. I'll cover the team compositions later. Lithic Spear I don't think is that good since it gives attack percentage as a secondary stat and the passive as well. The only thing good about Lithic Spear, right, in my opinion, is the high base attack as well as the crit rate increase. If you have refinements in this, it can be a good alternative, but I do think that Black Cliff, Pole Arm, as well as Deathmatch would be slightly better. Prototype Star Glitter, after using an elemental skill, increases normal and charged attack damage by 8%, maximum 2 stacks. I think this is a decent alternative as well because she uses a lot of normal and charged attacks. And the only drawback to this weapon, I would say, is the energy recharge as a secondary substat because Hu Tao actually gains back a lot of energy particles, so she doesn't really have a problem with energy recharge and getting her outs back to back. So I don't think energy recharge is that important of a secondary stat, and like crit rate, crit damage will be much better, and elemental mastery will be significantly better as well because of the team composition I'm going to talk about later. Favonia's lens I don't think is that good because it's this lens is pretty much just for you to like regain energy and like doesn't really provide any additional damage, which once again Hu Tao doesn't really need that much energy recharge at all. Royal Spear not that good. Like it's okay, but I don't think it's that good because secondary stat is attack percentage, and I don't think that passive is that good. Like I don't like the passive at all. So yeah. Dragon Spine Spear, physical damage as a secondary stat, so I wouldn't go for it. Vortex Vanquisher, if you have someone who shields you, it's not the worst option. Like if you have a Zhongli or something, I don't think this is the worst option, but once again, it's not the best since there's attack percentage on the secondary stat and her base attack is very low. And her E doesn't really scale, it doesn't scale off attack percentage, it only scales off base attack, so this doesn't affect her E in any way. Jade Spear. Jade Spear is pretty decent. I would say it's the second best weapon for her, I would say. Because it gives crit rate, so you can focus on crit damage on your artifacts. And it basically increases your attack, which is not that great actually, now that I look at it again. It is okay in terms of like the stats because it gives the highest amount of base attack out of every spear, like it's equal to the Skyward Spine, and it gives crit rate as a secondary stat, but the passive isn't really that good for her. It is okay, but it's not that good. Skyward Spine increases crit rate by 8%, and normal attack speed by 12%. Additionally, normal and charged attacks get a 50% chance to trigger a Vacuum Blade. Pretty decent as well. I would say it's between Skyward Spine or Primordial Jade as the second best weapon for her, but I would say like the clear winner for all the 5-star spears is the Staff of Homa because it's basically built for her. I'm not gonna go through it that much because you probably already know what it does by now. It just fits her perfectly. But if you really don't have any of these options, then the White Tassel isn't that bad because increases crit rate and then increases normal attack damage by 24%, which is what she does most of the time. I mean, it depends on how you play her, but it's pretty decent for a 3-star option. And then another option for a 3-star would be the Black Tassel because it gives HP percentage as the substat, but the passive is pretty much useless because it increases your damage against slimes, which is pretty useless. I would rather pick the White Tassel over the Black Tassel, but like ideally you wouldn't want to be using the 3-star weapons. Ideally you would at least want to use the 4-star weapons like a Black Cleave Polearm or something. So I'm moving on. Artifacts, okay? You might be looking at this and asking me why I'm running Lava Walker. This is because I don't have Mora to build out a Crimson Witch set. Like right off the bat, I'm just gonna say that I think right now, right, from what I've seen, the best artifact set is a 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flames set because of the team compositions. I'll briefly talk about this and then I'll go to the team comps, okay? Lava Walker, I would say I'll recommend 3 sets, okay? 3 artifact sets, and I would say Lava Walker is the least, is the worst out of the 3 in my opinion, because Lava Walker, in my opinion, is better for someone like Klee, because Klee, when you pop her out, if you don't have C4 whereby you just detonate everything around you after popping her out, if you don't have C4, you want Lava Walker because you'll be constantly applying pyro damage like with your ult. So you're basically staying on the field for an extended period of time. And especially if you have like Lost Prayers or something, you'd benefit more from staying on the field for a longer duration. But because Hu Tao is like a burst support or like a burst DPS, you wanna be swapping in and out of her, so Lava Walker wouldn't really be benefiting you as much as something like Crimson Witch or 2-piece Witch, 2-piece Noblesse. Yeah, so I would say 4-piece Crimson Witch would be the best one out of the 3, because the 4-piece set bonus from Crimson Witch gives you like extra reaction damage, which is what she wants in her ideal team comp in my opinion, because you'll be pairing her up with Xing Qiu. And then the 2-piece set bonus gives you pyro damage as well, as you guys should know. And if you wanna play her more towards like just a burst oriented character, then I would say 2-piece Witch and 2-piece Noblesse might be better, even though I would still recommend a 4-piece Witch set because it's better overall in my opinion. So in terms of like the main stats, right, obviously this would be flat HP, this one would be flat attack, you can't really change anything. Here I would recommend HP percentage. Here I'll recommend pyro damage. Like I would say pyro damage is definitely the best here and HP percentage is the best here. And then here you can run HP percentage. But the thing is that I normally run like crit rate because I want her ultimate to crit, because her ult actually hits really hard. HP is an okay alternative if you already have if you already have like 50% crit rate or something for some reason, then I would say HP percentage is an alright alternative. But if you have the choice, right, I would rather go crit damage over HP, because crit damage gives you a better boost to your damage overall from what I've seen. But yeah, in terms of substats, crit damage, crit rate are amazing, and then I would say HP percentage would be the third substat you look for. Elemental Mastery is decent because you're using her inside Xing Qiu comp, whereby you'll be utilizing Vaporize and other elemental reactions. And then yeah, I'm not gonna showcase my damage in this video because it'll be way too long, and I'll just show like a very brief display of my substats, but I won't be showing the damage and stuff. That will be for other videos. So yeah. The thing with a E is that it caps out at 400% of a base attack, right? The attack increase from max HP. But I'm gonna go to my Google Chrome and show you guys the calculations. My Hu Tao right now, right? My 5th piece is crit rate, so it's not max HP. And she has like, I'll round up slightly and it'll be 35k HP, right? Right, so let's go to my calculator. 35k HP, right? I divided this, right, like by 100. I divide this by 100, then I get 350, and then I times this by 5.66. I times it by 5.66 because I'm looking at a level 8 talent. You can downscale it to level 6 if you really do not have talent materials. But in my opinion, most free-to-play players should be able to hit at least level 8 for her E. So I'll be taking like 5.66% of her max HP. So let's say I am using 35k HP. It's not like the highest you can go, but my Hu Tao right now is 35k. Yeah, 35k. So I'll take 350 times 5.66, and that's an maximum increase of 1981 attack. Like if you look at my Hu Tao right now, she has 1900 attack, and when I pop my E, I would have 3.865 attack, which like shows you the exact amount of attack increase I get from popping my E, which is 1900 damage, which is almost like 2000 damage increase. But basically, right, if you go back to Hu Tao and you click on details, this is the base stats, right? Like right now she's level 86. She has a base attack of 712. This 3000 attack is like not her base attack. This is not added on, okay? Her base attack is just 712. It's from her character level as well as her base attack from the Staff of Homa. And since like 4-star weapons have lower base attack, obviously her overall base attack will be lower. So which means that the maximum attack increase would be lower from her max HP as well. But from Staff of Homa, right, and my current base attack, I can get a maximum of 2848 bonus attack from popping my E. But as you can see, my Hu Tao only has 35,000 HP. She's only getting 1.9k like to 2k attack from popping her E. So you can see there's a lot of like space that I could be getting more attack. But I'm not even close to the cap. I'm like 800 attack away from the cap, and I have 35k HP on my Hu Tao. Let's say, okay. Staff of Homa gives an additional 20% HP, right? So I'll most likely have more HP than most Hu Taos out there without the Staff of Homa, but I'll just take it as if I still have my 35k HP here with a different weapon, okay? Let's say I take a free-to-play weapon, okay? Black Cliff Polam, okay? Let's go to Black Cliff, and at level 90 you would have a base attack of 510. 510 plus, I believe Hu Tao's base attack is 106, okay? Plus 106. She'll have, with a Black Cliff Polam at level 90, she would have a base attack of 616, okay? 616, if you times that by 4, because your E at level 8 will be, your E would have a maximum of 400% attack bonus. 2464. Which once again, if you have 35k HP, you won't be breaking the 2400 damage increase threshold, the cap. Which means that you do not really have to worry about your weapon's base attack if you're not like pushing for like min-max Hu Tao. If you go to your artifacts and on your 5th piece you decide to go HP's percentage, right, then it might be a problem because if you change this crit rate to like HP percentage, you'll be getting around, I'm estimating around an additional like 6k HP. So like if your substats have more HP percentage than mine, right, you cover up the 20% from Homa, okay, you'll be getting like 41k HP, right? So 41k, oh wait, sorry, 41k times, I can't, holy shit, 41k times 5.66, you'll be getting 2300 attack, right? Alright, 2300 attack with this is with what's that called? Black Cliff Polam, by the way. Your cap from your E increase, right, your E attack increase will be 2.4k. Even if you were to run HP percentage on your 5th piece, right, which I am not, you'd still be getting like, you still be under like the cap, so you don't have to worry about the 400% like maximum attack increase. So the weapons based attack, it is fine if you're running like a Black Cliff Polam, which is 42 which has 42 base attack at level 0, level 1. I don't know what's the minimum level. I think it's level 1. So yeah, as long as you have something that starts with 42, right, then you should be fine. I haven't calculated for weapons that start off with 41 base attack, but it should be more or less there. Even if it caps out, it won't affect your damage that much because it'll be like a little bit less only, which is fine in my opinion. But that's if you have like a pretty well built Hu Tao that has a lot of HP percentage in your substats. So you don't have to worry about your weapons that much, because if you don't know, there are videos out there with people using like White Tassel and they are hitting for ridiculous amounts of damage even with a 3-star weapon. Though like obviously the 4-star weapons and 5-star weapons are way better lah, but like you can even use a 3-star weapon for Hu Tao because she's that strong. Moving on to her Constellations, her E makes it so that once you pop your E, right, her Constellation 1 makes it so that once you pop your E, your charge attacks do not consume stamina. So your E has a 16-second cooldown and it has a 9-second uptime, which means that every 16 seconds you would have 9 seconds of stamina-free charged attacks. You want to be doing charge attacks. You don't have to constantly do charge attacks during a whole E rotation, but you wanna at least do like 1 to 2 charge attacks because they do a lot of damage. On top of that, they apply like I don't know what the effect is called. Blood Blossom, yes. It applies Blood Blossom on enemies you hit with a charge attack with your E on, which does like a damage over time, and this damage over time can actually trigger elemental reactions like Vaporize, Overload, Melt. So if you have constant cryo debuffs, then your damage over time actually deals like a decent amount of damage if, yeah, it melts, because melt does like 200% of the damage, like 200% multiplier, so pretty good. And being able to use charge attacks for free, right, you can basically play her like a Xing, since you can just charge attack spam, but the edge that Hu Tao has is that with Constellation 1, your charge attacks do not require stamina, so unlike Xing, you can actually spam your charge attacks and have stamina to iframe with your sprint, so you can actually dodge stuff. Constellation 2, it increases the Blood Blossom damage by an amount equal to 10% of Hu Tao's max HP at the time the effect is applied. And then for the first part, it basically means that you're doing more damage with your Blood Blossom, which is the effect, the damage over time you get from hitting an enemy with a charge attack when your E is up. By 10%, it may not seem like much, but in my opinion, it kind of adds up, because 10%, example, you have 3,500 HP. I mean 35,000 HP, then this would be doing 3,500 damage. 3,500 damage doesn't seem like much, but I believe since Blood Blossom can crit, this 10%, this additional 10% should be able to crit as well, which means that you'll be doing like probably like 8,000 damage or something if like 200, if you have like 200% crit damage. And on top of that, once again, her Blood Blossom can melt, so it can do even more damage. And additionally, her ult, her Spirit Soother, will also apply the Blood Blossom effect. So you now do not even need to charge attack if you choose not to, since your ult would apply the effect. And once again, like, she gets her ult back really easily, since she gets like energy particles very easily. So her spamming her out shouldn't be much of a problem. This increases her E by 3 levels. Constellation 4, upon defeating an enemy affected by Blood Blossom that Hu Tao applies herself, all nearby allies in the party, excluding Hu Tao herself, will have a crit rate increased by 12% for 15 seconds. This makes her even better support DPS or like a support burst DPS. Because this will make it so that like swapping in and out of Hu Tao, right? Like swapping out of Hu Tao will actually be more beneficial for you, since like she gives a 12% crit rate for 15 seconds to all her party members when she kills an enemy and switches out. This gives 12% crit rate, and her talent right here gives another 12%, so that's 24%. 24% crit rate pretty much for free when you swap out of Hu Tao. So she gives a pretty good crit rate boost for like her other teammates, which means that you can focus more towards crit damage instead of crit rate, which in turn gives your characters more damage in general. This one increases her out by 3 levels, and Constellation 6, I don't think it's necessary to be honest, but it's pretty damn good. If you wanna go for huge numbers, then this would be really good, because it triggers when her HP goes below 25%, or example she's like 30%, 40%, might be even higher, as long as like a hit is supposed to kill you, right? Example, a hit is supposed to kill you off, she'll instead like survive with like she'll instead like survive, and she'll gain a 200% physical and elemental resistance for the next 10 seconds after receiving the fatal blow or dropping below 25%. This basically makes her like unkillable because she gets a lot of stats. So she basically won't die for the next 10 seconds guaranteed, and her crit rate is increased by 100%. So even if you have like 0% crit rate, right, once you proc this part with Constellation 6, right, once you proc this, should crit on everything. Her out will crit, all her hits will crit, and her resistance to interruption is greatly increased, so she doesn't really get knocked back or staggered or like bubbled by an abyss mage, for example, as much. And then this effect automatically triggers when Hu Tao has 1 HP left, but the downside is that this can only occur every 60 seconds. I would say this isn't that needed, because unless you really want to see like the biggest amount of damage your Hu Tao can do, since with this constellation with 100% crit rate, you can actually just shift all your crit rate into crit damage and stack the maximum amount of crit damage to see the highest amount of damage you can get from your ult. But in terms of if you need this, I don't think you need this at all, but it's just a really fun thing to have. So yeah, I don't think a C6 is necessary at all. As for talents, right, in my opinion, all 3 of her talents are worth maxing out, because all of them are amazing. Her out hits ridiculously hard. Like her multiplier, right, at low HP skill damage, as at low HP, right, which is under 50% HP, you'll be hitting for 529 at level 7, which is not the highest. That's what you'll be assuming. It's not the highest, which it isn't. It isn't the highest multiplier out there, and it increases basically regens her HP 11.65% of her max HP when she's like under 50%, and basically this stacks depending on how many enemies you hit, and it stacks up to 5 enemies hit. So you can heal for like 55, like you can heal for over 55% HP, so you can heal for more than half your HP. But the problem with this is that you do not really want to heal past 50% HP, because this passive exists whereby when she's equal to 50% or lower, her pyro damage bonus is increased by 33%. So if she's under 50%, then she'll be getting a pyro damage increase, which increases the damage of her whole kit pretty much. So you want to be staying under 50%, so you don't want to be healing too much with her ulti. And because like of this 33% increased damage, right, increased pyro damage, her ult actually hits really hard despite the multiplier. It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely not the highest multiplier out there. It's still very decent, but because of this talent right here, her ult actually hits extremely hard, especially like when there's a melt reaction, of course, since she's Pyro. Uh, in terms of skill order, right, I'm not too sure, but in my opinion, I haven't like done the math behind which one is better in particular. But from what I have seen, right, as you can see, I spread it out pretty evenly. From what I have seen, it depends on your play style really. If you want her to be on the field for longer, I would say max out her E first, and then her auto second, and then her ult last. But if you wanna use her like as a really quick like spammable character, like you E burst and then swap out, then I would say max out her E and ult first. I would say bring the E to like about level like talent level 8 or something, and then max out the ult. But you can really do whatever you want. I don't think there's a way whereby you can go wrong with Hu Tao since all her abilities are good. It's not like something it's not something like Xing Qiu, for example, whereby you want max out his E and his ult and then like just ignore his auto attacks. All of her abilities, all of her talents are really good, so you can't really go wrong. But I would say go for, if you want more field time on her, then I would say her E first and then her auto second and then her ult last. But you can't go wrong with the ult as well because it does a lot of damage. So yeah, I don't want to drag on the video for too long. I hope I'm not missing anything. Oh yeah, I'll go through the talents here as well, but it's not really that important. Like this one isn't that important because it's like a cooking one. Like nobody really cares about that. But yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything, I hope. So I mean, as you can see, I have like, I think the guy is pretty much over, but like if you want to look at her stats, right, her ascension, she gets crit damage, so her crit damage here is pretty damn high, and she has like a pyro damage comp obviously, and yeah, I don't think there's anything else. 132% energy recharge isn't actually like that high, but I'll show you guys like her energy recharge if you guys don't believe. Like if you don't believe how easy it is to get back her out, I'll show you guys how easy it is. Okay, let me just, okay, look, I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna cut back when I kill this guy. I'm just gonna pop my ult here, so like you can see how like I have 0 energy right now, right, because I'm not hitting any character, like I'm not hitting any enemies, so I have 0 energy in my bar right now. So I'm gonna show you guys how fast I can get my ult back on the Hu Tao. I'm gonna drop my Zhongli shield so my Hu Tao doesn't die. Oh yeah, team compositions, I almost forgot. I don't know how I almost forgot, but I almost forgot. Let me just get my energy back. And she basically, like, within within one cast of my E, right, I pretty much have my ult back, and I died because I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, you can see how fast she gets her energy back. I'll talk about the team comms now. Let me just go to somewhere that's safe. In terms of a team composition, I would say I'll just show you guys the best team, in my opinion. I mean, I already kind of have it, but yeah, I would say the best team would be her with Xing Qiu, which is like the best elemental reactor for her in my opinion. And then you want to have Zhongli or like a different shield character. It can be like Diona, for example, if you want to use her as a healer as well. But I'll recommend using a shield character and Xing Qiu. Doesn't have to be Zhongli if you guys don't have her, but I do believe that he's the best option. And then, as for the 4th character, I would say the best option would be someone like a Klee, a Diluc, or like a Xiangling, or even a Bennett. But I don't really recommend Bennett that heavily, even though he's an amazing character and can increase your damage. Okay, okay, the reason why I would recommend having a Klee, first of all, would be that Hu Tao isn't really a main DPS because, as you can see, right, I popped my E. There's a 16-second cooldown and her E lasts for 9 seconds. Okay? Which means that she has like a decent amount of downtime. She has a 7-second downtime, which is almost half of her ability's duration. And like, you do not really want to be popping her burst when her E is down, since like since like her E gives you a massive like attack increase, right? 3.8k. You have 3.8k with the E, I have 3.8k with the E. Without the E, I'll have like 1.9k. So her ult will be hitting a lot harder when your E is active, so you really wanna be outing during her E's duration. So your uptime, right, every time your uptime on Hu Tao, every time you swap her in, right, will be like 9 seconds. So you wanna be swapping her out to like make use of her passive as well, the passive crit rate, like one of her talents. On top of that, like when your E is down, she really doesn't really do that much damage, since like her physical damage doesn't do much and her base attack is really low, like without her E. So she's not that good when her E is on cooldown, which means that you want to be swapping to other characters. So like, what characters can you swap to? You can swap to someone like Li, which can act as your main DPS and have Hu Tao act as your sub DPS or like your burst DPS. And Zhongli is there for primarily his shield, so your Hu Tao doesn't die when she's low HP. And his ult is really good as well, as you guys know. Xing Qiu is there for vaporized reactions, since I feel like he's the best elemental reactor with Hu Tao. The only problem with Xing Qiu as her reactor is that you're not always gonna proc vaporize with Hu Tao. Like, sometimes you're gonna proc vaporize with Xing Qiu, whereby like Hu Tao won't be doing the big damage and Xing Qiu will be doing the big damage, which isn't the worst thing, since when you have your E up, right, you would have constant applications on your regular attacks anyways. The only problem is that you wanna be proccing your vaporize when you pop your ult, which is like your big PP damage. So you wanna have the 150% multiplier when you pop your ult. That's the only problem, and that is like you can't really proc vaporize that consistently unless you like memorize some sort of like timing whereby you always proc vaporize with Hu Tao. But I don't think it's not that realistic to expect all vaporize procs by Hu Tao. But yeah, someone like Diluc can work because she's a sub DPS, and a main DPS, like another pyro DPS would be good, but someone like Xiangling I feel like would be a really good alternative as well, since she's like a really spammable character with her Guopa. I believe her Guopa is like around 8 to 12 seconds. Her E has like 8 or 12 second cooldown. I'm not too sure because I don't really use Xiangling, but she's a really good alternative. And if you don't know what Xiangling does, right, her constellations make it so that like you boost your pyro damage, because she lowers pyro resistance and stuff, and her chili like boosts your damage as well, which makes Hu Tao hit even harder. So like I'll say maybe Xiangling is slightly better than someone like Klee, but I'll say Klee is a solid second. Banner will be like a third or something. Yeah, her pyro nado gives more damage to enemies surrounding her as well. So it's pretty good boost to Hu Tao's overall damage. Bennett would be pretty good, but the downside to Bennett is that when you pop his ultimate, right, and you stand inside Bennett's ult with Hu Tao, you might accidentally like heal above 50% HP, which means that your ult wouldn't really like hit that hard because you won't be benefiting from the 33% pyro damage bonus from being under 50%. Since Bennett's ult can heal you up to like 70%, but if you're like barely under 70, one more tick of his ult will bring you up to like, it would basically like bring you over 70% HP. And her E, like the deficit to her E, right, would be that she reduces her current HP. Where is it? Reduces her current HP by 30%. So it's not max HP. It doesn't reduce your max HP by 30%, it reduces your current HP by 30%. Why is that bad? Because if you heal with Bennett's ult until like 80%, for example, if it was 30% of your max HP gone, then you drop down to 50%, whereby you still be benefiting from the 33% pyro damage bonus. But if you are at 80%, right, and you do, I'm not doing the math here, but if you do 80%, if you have 80% for max HP and you pop your E, since it is 30% of your current HP, it might not actually make you fall below 50%. I'm not doing the maths here, so it might still be like, nah, it's not, it's over 50% definitely, because yeah, you'll be healing you lesser than, you'll be deducting less than 30% for max HP, since your HP wouldn't be 100%, so you won't actually be benefiting from the pyro damage bonus. But that is like, that is if you heal until like that's if you heal until like 80%. But if you heal up to like 70%, then you proc your E and you immediately out, then I guess you'll still be getting the pyro damage increase, but you really don't want to risk that, because a lot of times, in my opinion, you'll be going over 50% when you out, so it's not that good. You won't be getting the increased pyro damage. Although you'll be getting the increased damage from banners out lah, but you know, I would say it's not the best pyro alternative. I would say like, yeah, Xiangling or Clio is better. So yeah, I think the video is getting pretty long now, so I'll just end it off here. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and the next video will probably be talking about like the Star Glitter shop, or like me showcasing my Hu Tao. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.